Here today that was at the prayer school last year with me. And we sang, "Look What the Lord Has Done."
Yeah.
So I'm going to start a testimony with, approximately 4 months before prayer school, I got out of the hospital from a deathbed. They say I shouldn't have lived. I went in septic shock. I thought I had the flu. I guess I was wrong. It ended up I had streptococcus A. It ended up in my whole blood system. I've got minor heart and brain damage. That turned into flesh-eating disease. I was already disabled. I was already crippled in the right leg. I've had a dead leg for years. And they looked at me and they said, "You're going to be in a wheelchair at least 2 months." Well, they didn't know if I was going to live, but when I lived, they said, "You're going to be in a wheelchair for at least 2 months, or 2 years, if you ever walk again." I looked at them and I said, "You got the wrong girl." Today I stand before you and I say, "Look what the Lord has done. Look what the Lord has done." I pushed the walker because I've got props. So that's going to be my opening introduction that I didn't have. Thank you very much. My life story. Well, let's go to my birth. Hello. I was born innocent, pure, with no expectations, only seeds God was already sowing in me. I was in a home that was dysfunctional. My father had a mental illness, so life was unpredictable. By the age of 6, I tried and almost succeeded to kill myself. Excuse me, could you hold my hat for me, please?
Certainly.
Thank you. Well, you see, I didn't succeed. So I grew up on a farm, in a church, dysfunctional family. You might say a dysfunctional church. Father suffered mental illness. Mother suffered a lifetime of mental and emotional abuse. What that lady was through and what I put her through, well, she should have shot me herself. But she found who was to become my Mama Helen. Or I found Mama Helen and my mom adopted her. Anyways, even then, I was set aside. And as I said, I was different. You want to know about that part of my life? Read Mama Helen's book. I'm the Bodyguard, renamed. Everywhere I went, I did not have friends. I was ridiculed. Thank God we did not have cyberbullying because I even got phone bullied once. I was pretty tough. I beat up 3 boys my first day of school. They picked on my big brother. So I was pretty tough. So not many were brave enough to get in my face with their words. But I lived very lonely. Very, very lonely and depressed. I never stopped wanting to die. Excuse me, could you hold that hat for me, please? Well, I kept growing up, like we all do. Unfortunately, was my attitude. At 14, I went to the Free Methodist Bible Camp, and there was a group there from a Christian boarding school, high school, Niagara Christian College. I said to my mom, "Boy, I'd like to go there." Well, it wasn't long before my bags were packed and I was on out the door. Christian boarding school. Out of sight, out of mind. I had to beg to come home on holidays. My parents separated when I was 12, and moving into town from the farm, as you know, I hit the streets. There, I found friends. They're on the streets, people. They're not in the church. Your friends are not in the church. They are on the street. I think. But they were there for me. I think. My mom being busy, starting her life over and building a career. The easy thing to do is ship me off. There, I made my second suicide attempt. My blankets that covered me was loneliness, abandonment, despair. I was told I could not return the next year because imagine, just imagine people, all you fine Christian people out there, the embarrassment it would have caused the school if I had died. Well, they were kind and gracious. They even agreed not to tell my mom about the suicide attempt if I agreed not to reapply to come back. My mom never knew until I was in my 40s. Fine Christian school. Actually, I wish I'd made better of those days, because it could have been a blast if I wasn't so messed up. Oh goodness. Here, can you hold a hat for me? Thank you. Well, now I'm mad. Now I've had it. Church, mom, dad, thou shalt not divorce. Thou shalt not do a lot of things thou shalt not do. So, 15, kicked out of Christian school, sent back to public school. I think I went 2 or 3 days. So mom said, I don't care, she's 15. How am I supposed to keep her in school? I'm working. She signed permission for me to quit school. Well, I had to turn 16 sometime. And I told my mom I'm leaving home. Well, she got tired of my games. No more packing that suitcase full of books to make it as heavy as I could to threaten her and make her afraid I was going to leave home. She said, bye. And the next morning she went to work. And I didn't have much choice because I put my big mouth in my foot this time because she didn't beg me to stay. So I went to live with my cousin, whose husband, when my cousin was at work, told me if I didn't pay up with sex, nobody rides for free. So she came home from work and I said, I'm leaving. And I went to live on the streets. I hit the streets. I hit them hard. I lived fast, I lived hard in a very short time. I ran away from home. I went to live in the streets. A little bit of drugs, a little bit of drinking, a life of crime. Lots of sex. I was really into that. In looking for love and acceptance. By the way, they're using us, girls. I got onto that idea, so I made them pay and I became a prostitute. I got my revenge. But it actually is a miracle I came out alive, because by now I was full on hurt and anger. I hung around with the worst of the worst. I met my husband years later in a bar. First night we met, he was warned by 3 different people not to mess with me, not to get involved with me. Because if I couldn't take him out if he messed with me, my friends would. He learned very quickly to make sure I knew he was in the hotel and that he'd come home first, or he was escorted home to let me know where he was. So that is where I began to cut myself. You've all heard of cutters, right? God's led me to speak with a few girls nowadays that cut. And I'm telling you, they weep They weep when you look them in the eyes and you say, baby girl, baby boy. I know it's easier to feel the physical pain, watch the blood, than it is to feel that hurt, if only for a moment. Because the physical scar may be there for life, but that emotional scar that people are causing other people today is there for eternity, unless something's done with it. I'm kind of going off my notes. Thank you. The physical pain would distract me from the eternal, now agony. After many beatings, I don't know what it's like to not be beaten, to be with somebody who doesn't strike you. That's foreign. In several rapes, he hitchhiked everywhere, so that left some open doors. On top of being beat as a child, rejected and molested as a child. The skull cap is one of the hardest hats to give over to God. Mama, can you hold my skull cap? Let's get a little bit domestic here. By 17, I am a single mom. I swore as a child that I was going to have the baby and skip the man. Well, when I realized I was pregnant, the dad said it was time for him to move on. I got off the streets. I owe my life to my daughter. I got off the streets. Everything was about protecting my baby. I started doing B&Es in empty cottages. I was pimping out a friend of mine. I knew how to get the money. When my daughter was a year old, I met my husband, now of 39 years. We just had our 38th anniversary. We've been together 39. He brought a new lot of baggage. We began, and I hate to love you and I love to hate you relationship. He began to show me that someone could and would stay with me no matter what. Dad, cook a meal. Let's get into married life. You know what? I must have had short hair back then. Okay. Well, Glenn made an honest woman of me. By the time I met him, I had gone back to prostitution. I had an anticipation of a lifestyle that I wished, and this single mom fed her daughter's sake. After 3 months of living together, he used to babysit my baby while I'd go out and work, and then I'd meet the babysitter in a cab at the house, and then him and I had to go off to the hotel. And the babysitter would take over for him, but it saved me babysitting money for that time period, because I would have just went to the hotel, had a babysitter the whole time. But after 3 months, he didn't like that no more. And he said, if we're going to be living together, he wanted me to stop. I told him then he better support me in the lifestyle that I was used to, so he started giving me his EI check from his mother instead of his mother. Which, by the way, he had warrants for his arrest, so he brought baggage. Eventually, as he was a construction worker, I joined him on the job site. I cursed and I swore my way into being one of the boys. It was not easy, because in those days, women that went to work in construction wanted one thing: to sleep their way to the top. I earned my name as a good tradesperson. I helped pave the way for women today. And I put another layer of crust on my heart and my mind. The Lord was telling me the whole time I spoke that I am to give you the hard hat. I don't know what that is for, but he'll tell you. Yes. Now it's time to be proper, people. Glenn and I couldn't have children together, so we adopted another 6-month-old daughter when Tammy was 4 years old. When Tammy was 6 years old, she announced to me that she wanted to go to church. So off we went as a family to the Norwich Baptist Church, where Mr. Dave Huffman and his beautiful wife Helen preached. She was a very good babysitter when Tammy was born, and I was running the street still. So that was the only place I was going to go in Norwich. And can she tell you some stories about trying to take me into that Baptist church? Anyways, off we went as a family, beginning a new road to eternal renewal. I knew Christ as a child. My husband knew Christ without knowing him because he was going to be a priest, but somewhere the Holy Spirit was touching his life from the day he was born. So, because of the construction life, we often found ourselves moving to where the work was. We did have 7 good years in a loving, stable church where healing and our ministering world began. Then the recession hit, and on the road again we went. And back into church, after church, after church, after churchianity. Eventually, with more scars than we can count, we ended back up in the world. And our girls turned against the church. We never turned against God, but we did not want any part of his program, churchianity. My kids sing a song. I don't want to be a hypocrite, because they're not hip with it. I just want to be a lamb, ba, ba, ba. We have now been in the same church for at least 10 years. Ruthann, have a churchianity. I must hide myself now. The shame. Over the years, I developed many illnesses. Many of them, most of them, you'd be surprised, were tied to stress in some way. At 20 years, I started with minor problems to end up with cancers, to flesh-eating disease. Between accidents, many accidents, high-speed accidents, I have been in, and I have come close to death, as far as I can count offhand, at least 11 times I should not have lived. My unbelieving doctor now calls me his miracle girl. He one time said to me, "It isn't even just how many times you have come back from what should have been death, but you always come back stronger." Then he said, "I know, you got God." Sir, you want to take cancer for me, don't you? Daddy wanted some of Africa to come out. Du te bekunda sanyana, which means I love you so much in Rwandan. Today, I stand before you and I declare I am God's kid. as he takes me around the world via Facebook, sharing the Mother Heart of God. When I was a child, I felt that I wanted to go to Africa to be a missionary. I saw a missionary at our church from Africa. I started collecting pictures of missionaries from Africa. And I got not so active with this leg. And after about a year and a half of, I started out adopting adult orphans from the 1994 Rwandan genocide. By the way, if you got an adult orphan, they grew up without a parent, down to brush their teeth before they go to bed. You wouldn't believe how much that nurtures a soul. So anyways, the Lord reminded me. Remember when you were a child, you told me you were going to be a missionary in Africa. I went, oh, yeah. I think I took the wrong road. As I said to Stephen tonight, I took the long way to build my testimony before I got to working for God. It reaches further. So, I said, Lord, I really don't think I make a good missionary. And I can't say this without a tear in my heart. He spoke back to me and he said, I didn't call you to be a missionary. I called you to be a mammy. No greater honor than to trust me with the hearts of his very heart, his children. I honor missionaries, I really, really do. But I got you beat. Nurturing them with the love they missed growing up without a mommy. That's all God wants any of us to do. Nurture somebody. God, the breast milk of God. El Shaddai. That's all he wants from us. Living Fully Victorious Ministries. My friend, can you collect up some hats for me? Will you be living victorious for me? Yes. Living Fully Victorious Ministries took all of me, gathering up all my hats. Do I have this one to the top? That's called a kufi, by the way. Only the royal of Africa get the fancy ribbons. I'll have you know. I found it at the Goodwill. Anyways, Living Fully Victorious Ministries took all of me, gathered up all my hats, gently healing each wound and scar, turning them, my scars, into stars. I have gone through private ministry and the school once. I can't wait until October 2nd to get back to school, which at least one of my African sons, as Dad said, will be there with me, Godfrey from Kenya. He's probably got 100 churches under him. Pray for Moses, he's to be here. And the devil is fighting him all the way. All we're waiting for is a visa. And we're coming down to the wire. And he's holding faith, and I'll be honest with you, I'm trembling in my boots. But I want Moses here. Moses has churches he's from Uganda. But Uganda, the dangerous Congo, and even more dangerous South Sudan. My husband and I now personally support a house we've started in Rwanda, and Moses is going to be taking Bibles and concordances and stuff back. It's a house of ministry and learning, and however many street people we can house at a time. And Moses is going to be the pastoral overseer of all the ministry. And I can't wait to get my street kids off the streets in Uganda and open a house there. As soon as the Lord drops that bag of money on me. My father not only owns the cattle on the hill, he owns both sides of the hill. And I'm awaiting. And he's still waiting for me to be ready. I'm not quite responsible yet. Anyways, so Godfrey is definitely on his way. He's leaving Thursday. I'm picking him up Friday. I'm still waiting to see if Mom and Dad's coming with me. But I can't wait for school this year because, boy, I need it. I have been really taking a beating this last year with attack after attack. And I even thought about walking away from the Lord, the ministry, and everything else. But I always say, if the devil is not attacking me, I'm not doing enough for the Lord to be making Satan's kingdom threatened. I think I must be doing something right. I daily have to practice the things I've learned at prayer school, or I lose my footing. Especially the, cut this off from me, Lord, forgive me, Father. Cast it into the place that you created for, because I'm making a mess with it. Prayer ministry is not something you ever stop needing. If life keeps happening, prayer ministry also needs to keep happening. Remember, ministry starts with you. All of us. If you love someone, love them into prayer ministry. If you have negative issues with someone, love both of you and call both of you into Living Fully Ministries. If you love the Lord, this is for you. If you want to live fully, start with you and let the fire spread. The Sunday after I had ministry at prayer school, I went to church and people were saying, I want what you've got, you glow. God is not a respecter of persons, but you have to get out of your church seats and do something about it. You have to step past your comfort zone to enter your glory. God bless you all.